Good morning. This is Kasturi Day. Today I'm going to discuss the electricity chapter question answer series according to ICSE syllabus class 8. Okay. So why does a plastic comb rubbed with dry hair attract bits of paper? Okay. When a plastic comb is rubbed with dry bits of paper, dry hair, when it is rubbed with dry hair, it becomes charged, electrically charged, and so it gets the ability to attract bits of paper. Now, who discovered the way of producing electricity? It's a Greek philosopher, Thales. Okay, a Greek philosopher, Thales, who discovered the way of producing electricity by friction. Now, name two substances which can be charged by friction, that is glass and plastic. Describe an experiment to demonstrate that there are two kinds of charges. See, for this, four things are taken. One is a gold leaf electroscope, which is already being charged. We don't know what charge is there on it. A glass rod, a silk piece is taken, and two non-identical bodies are taken, which has a charge, but we do not know what charge are present on them. Now, when we are rubbing the silk piece with the glass rod, we will see that we know that the glass rod will acquire a positive charge. Okay. Now, if we take this glass rod and touch the gold leaf electroscope, the brass cap of the gold leaf electroscope, we see there is a divergence of the leaves of the gold leaf electroscope. This shows that the the gold leaf electroscope is positively charged because they have similar charge, and that's why the leaves are diverging more. Now, after that, we will take the body A and touch the brass cap of the electroscope, and again we will take the body B and we will touch the electroscope, and in both the cases we will note the divergence of the leaves. Okay. Then that for the body A, the divergence of the leaves of the gold leaf electroscope is more. For B rod, the leaves do not diverge but they converge. So from this experiment, we will deduce that body A is positively charged because the gold leaf electroscope is also positively charged, and so body A is also positively charged. That's why the divergence of the leaves are more. But in case of body B, what happens? The divergence of the leaves converges. That is, the leaves do not diverge but they converge. This shows that the body B is negatively charged. Okay. Now, a glass rod rubbed with silk is suspended near an ebonite rod rubbed with fur. What will be your observation? Give a reason to your answer. For this, a glass rod A rubbed with silk by means of a thread. It's rubbed with silk is suspended by a means of a thread. An ebonite rod, which is rubbed with fur, is brought near one end of the rod. When a glass rod is rubbed with A, we will see that this A rod will attract the B rod. Why it is so? Because there are unlike charges present on the the rod A and rod B. The glass rod being rubbed with silk acquires a positive charge, and the ebonite rod, which is being rubbed with fur, acquires a negative charge. So there are unlike charges, and so they will attract each other. Okay. So this is the diagram representation of the answer. Now, what do you mean by conservation of charges? See, by rubbing any two objects, each object is uncharged. Before rubbing any two objects, each object is uncharged. So their net charge will be 0. But when we are rubbing it, two objects are rubbed. Okay, then what happens? They acquire a charge, opposite charge, but they are equally charged. For example, the glass rod and the silk. When the glass rod and the silk were not rubbed, their net charge was 0. Okay. But when they were rubbed, the glass rod acquired positive charge and the silk acquired negative charge. But the quantity of the charge was equal. That's why the net charge will also come to be 0. This is conservation of charges. That is, before and after rubbing, both the times their charge was 0. And that's why this is the conservation of charges. Okay. Next is name 3 constituents of an atom and state the kind of charge on each of them. The 3 constituents of an atom are protons, electrons and neutrons. The protons have positive charge, electrons have negative charge and neutrons have no charge. Briefly describe the structure of an atom. Atom consists of 3 basic particles, protons, electrons and neutrons. The nucleus, center of the atoms, contains the protons. Okay, the nucleus, that is the center of the atom, it has the protons and neutrons. Protons have being positively charged and neutrons have no charge on it. The outermost region of the atom contains the electrons. Okay, that is the shell which has the electrons revolving around the central portion, that is the nucleus of the atom. These electrons are negatively charged. So this is the diagrammatic representation of an atom. See, these are the electrons which are moving in the electron shell, and in between at the center portion there is the nucleus, that is the nucleus, which is having neutrons and protons. See, protons, as it has 4 protons, that is 4 positively charged protons, and so therefore the 4 negatively charged electrons will be there, which will make the atom electrically neutral. Okay. Now, what are the free electrons? These electrons, the free electrons are those electrons which are away from the nucleus and having very less attractive force, and that's why they are known as free. Okay, they have very less attractive force. They are away from the nucleus. So the electrons revolving around the nucleus in the outermost orbit, they are held by a very weak force. Those electrons are known as free electrons. Now, what causes the charging of 2 objects where they are rubbed together? When 2 objects which are rubbed together are initially neutral or uncharged, the free electrons are transferred from one object to the other. The objects which gains free electrons becomes negatively charged because they have excess of electrons, and the objects which loses free electrons, that is, there is deficiency of electrons, and that's why they become positively charged. Okay. Next is a glass rod is rubbed with silk. Explain the charging of the glass rod and the silk on the basis of electronic movement. When a glass rod is rubbed with silk, the free electrons from the glass rod, they will be transferred to the silk. Okay, so the silk is gaining electrons and therefore it becomes negatively charged, and the glass rod is losing electrons and therefore it becomes positively charged. But their charges quantity, the quantity of the charges will be equal. Okay. Then an ebonite rod is rubbed with fur. Explain the charging of the ebonite rod and the fur on the basis of electron movement. Same thing, when ebonite rod is rubbed with fur, the fur will transfer electrons to the ebonite rod. So the ebonite rod will gain electrons and therefore it becomes negatively charged, and the fur will lose electrons and therefore it becomes positively charged. But the charging of these two, that is ebonite rod and fur, will have the same amount of charges. Distinguish between conductors and insulators of electricity. Now, conductors are those which allow the current electricity to flow through them, whereas insulators do not allow the electricity to flow through them. Conductors have a large number of free electrons. Insulators have a very small, or they do not have any free electrons. Conductors cannot be charged by rubbing, whereas insulators can be charged by rubbing. Now, conductors, their examples are all metals, wet wood, etc. Wet wood, etc. And for insulators, they're cotton, dry wood, rubber, glass, etc. Okay. Now, state 2 ways of charging a conductor: conduction and induction. 2 processes are there. Then name the way of charging a conductor in which the charge is shared by conduction. Next is describe the method of charging a conductor by conduction. For this, the conductor which is to be charged is brought in contact with a charged body. A charged body is taken and a conductor which is to be charged is brought in contact with the charging body. Now, the conductor gets charged, that is similar charge as on the charged body. The charge which is present in the charged body will be transferred to the conductor. that is giving the similar charge to the conductor. The charge of the charging body is shared by the conductor to the charge to be charged. Now, for example, if a metal rod A is to be charged positively, the rod is placed on an insulating stand. Okay, the rod which is to be charged is placed on an insulating stand. Then a positively charged rod B is taken with an insulating handle. Now rod B is touched to rod A. Now same positive charge, some positive charge of the glass rod B will be shared by the metal rod A. Now then the glass rod A is removed. The rod A gets positively charged. What happens? The glass rod B is positively charged, therefore it has deficiency of electrons. And when it is charged with metal rod A, the free electrons of the that is A rod, that is metal rod, that will get transferred to the glass rod. And therefore the metal rod will have deficiency of electrons and it will get positively charged. Okay. Now a metal rod A is to be charged positively by using another charged rod B. What should be the kind of charge of the rod B if charging is to be done by conduction? Obviously positively charged. Okay, so I'll stop here. I'll continue with my discussion, this electricity chapter question answer series discussion in my next video. Please go through this. If you have any doubt, please do write in the comment box, and if please go through the text videos that will help you to understand the chapter much more better. Okay, and if you are liking it, press the like button and share with your friends so that they can also be benefited from these videos. And please do subscribe to get the notification of my next video. Thank you, and thank you for watching. Have a good day.